Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 16, National Football League. Jacksonville Jaguars hosting their third consecutive home game versus the Tennessee Titans, a team that they have already beaten in the 2013 regular season. 5-9 Tennessee Titans going up against the 4-10 Jacksonville Jaguars. On the surface, seems like a meaningless game, but to me, there are no meaningless games in the National Football League. These two teams aren't going to the postseason, don't have a lot to play for, but there's no such thing as a meaningless game in the National Football League. Jobs are on the line. If you're Mike Munchak, you got to win this game, and you got to win out and essentially beg and plead for your job. If you're Gus Bradley, you're building for the future. Every win helps you put another brick in that foundation that you're building in Jacksonville, And so there are no meaningless games in the National Football League. So let's get to the board, break this one down. 5-9 Titans, 4-10 Jaguars hosting against each other. AFC South, family business. You know how that goes. What happens in the family stays in the family. Solid opening drive by the Titans yields a field goal. It's 3-0. Titans on top early on in this football game. Jacksonville responds with a touchdown drive that featured a big grab by Marcedes Lewis and a center screen to Brad Meester, all capped by a 5-yard Marcedes Lewis fade at 7-3. Jacksonville, let's talk about this possession for a little while. Brad Meester getting a center screen. I thought that was one of the best moments of this game. As we all know, if you're a Jags fan, Meester is going to retire after 14 years of service to this franchise. You don't see that happen that often in this league, where a guy plays with one franchise for over a decade, and he's been a stalwart along that offensive line. He's been a guy that you could rely on throughout his 14-year career. And so Brad Meester playing his last home game as a Jaguar, it was only fitting that you don't even see this happen in other organizations where a guy that's been on your team this long gets a chance to get his hands on the football. A big, dirty lineman like a center like Brad Meester getting his hands on the football. They threw him a pass. He catches it. And he actually had some room to work with. He could have gotten in the end zone. That would have been the ultimate high if he would have gotten into the end zone. Picks up about 7 yards on this play. Gets down to the 5-yard line. They end up getting a touchdown with Marcedes Lewis. What a great scene that was, seeing Brad Meester get his hands on the football. That was a lot of fun to watch. But what I really want to talk about in this possession is the fact that Marcedes Lewis gets in the end zone again, fade route. 4th consecutive game scoring a touchdown. This is what I'm talking about. If you're Jacksonville, that guy needs to touch the football more. In the last month of this season, he's been touching the football more, and this team has been playing better because of it on the offensive side of the football. Last year, it's inconceivable to me that this guy had no touchdowns receiving last season. That can't happen any longer. This year, he's getting the football down the stretch, and I think that's something that needs to continue earlier on in the season next year if this team wants to have more success offensively. Marcedes Lewis, 5-yard touchdown pass on the fade. Jacksonville takes a 7-3 lead. Jags get a goal line stand, which is excellent, but they go 3 and out, and the Titans get great field position and end up getting a field goal. They go 7-6. Jags still on top, but only by 1 after the great field position and the Titans cashing in with the field goal. So it's great to get a goal line stop, but that's why teams elect to go for it when they're down by the goal line, because they feel like their defense can get a stop, get off the field, and get great field position right back, so that if they get the football back, they can get that field goal that they could have kicked right back. And that's what happened. If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's not just good enough to get the goal line stand. You need to get out of the shadow of your own end zone, pick up a first down or two, flip the field position a little bit, and make that goal line stand up. That goal line stand up. Instead, you go 3 and out, you punt from your own end zone, they get great field position, and they come back and get their field goal anyhow. So if you're Jacksonville, great goal line stand, but you need to do something offensively to get from the shadow of your own end zone so that they're not getting the football back in scoring position. Illegal kick out of bounds after the field goal by Tennessee. So if you're the Titans, I think this has happened all too often this season with Rob Baronis. Can't kick the football out of bounds. That just can't happen after you've scratched and clawed and got within 1 in this game at 7-6. You can't kick it out of bounds right before the half and give the Jacksonville Jaguars the ball at the 40-yard line in some prime field position. You just can't do that. So a legal kick out of bounds. Hitting links up with Mike Brown on the 6-yard wide receiver screen to get into the end zone right before the half. So, again, you gave them field position. They got the confidence that they need to make something happen before the half. They get in the end zone. Mike Brown, 6-yard wide receiver screen. Now, if you're Jacksonville, the simplest of plays. Point after attempt. The point after the extra point. Make it. What are you doing? It's blocked. Whoever gets a point after block? Who does that? Who gets the point after attempt blocked? Who does that? Nobody does that. Except the Jacksonville Jaguars. Off the corner comes safety. Bernard Pollard blocks the point after try, and that's inexcusable. That cannot happen, especially when you're the 4-9 Jacksonville Jaguars or 4-10 Jacksonville Jaguars. That can't happen. You need every single point that you can get. And we'll talk about this single point that was blocked a little bit later. But it's 13-7 because the PAT was blocked. Jacksonville takes that 13-7 lead to the half. Allen Ball picks off Fitzpatrick on the initial drive of the second half. Jags go 3 and out, but the Titans jump off sides and the Jags go for it and get it, but still have to settle for a field goal. It's 16-6. So Titans making some subtle mistakes here. They throw the pick first to really, make that situation that much worse. Okay, you force a stop, but you jump off sides and give the Jags a first down when they were going to have to punch you the football or settle for a long field goal. In this case, I think the field goal was going to be something like 48 or 49 yards. Hey, Josh Scobie, excellent kicker, but that's a missable field goal. Anything can happen, okay? Now, in that same breath, you jump off sides. They get the first down. They pick up some more yardage. They end up kicking a field goal a lot closer. He knocks it home. Look, you don't know what was going to happen. He probably was going to still make the field goal knowing Josh Scobie. But you want him to kick the further field goal, not a closer attempt. And, again, this is why the Titans are 5-9. Because if this isn't the Jacksonville Jaguars, if this is the Indianapolis Colts, guess what Andrew Luck does with that first down you just gave him? He goes down and turns it into 7, not a field goal. So you can't have these type of mistakes. Luckily enough for you, you were playing the Jaguars. You got away with this mistake. But again, you can't afford to have mistakes like this. Even though the Jags only get a field goal out of this whole situation. It's 16-6. Jags up by 10 at home. Smells like another home victory for the Jaguars. If they can just manage to play some defense down the stretch, they have this game right where they want it. Can't have any turnovers, any mishaps. But if they can play some solid defense like they've been playing all game, only giving up 6 points to this juncture of the game, you can have yourself another win at home if you're Jacksonville. You'll take 2 out of 3 in this 3-game stretch at home. You'll take 2 out of 3. Tennessee runs the football down the throats of the Jags and get it into the end zone on a 1-yard Sean Green touchdown. Allen Ball, senseless personal foul penalty. It was going to be 3rd and 2, okay, from about the 4-yard line. So if you're Jacksonville, you'll take that 3rd and 2. You'll take your chances trying to get a stop. You know Tennessee is going to take the points. If you come up with a huge stop on 3rd and 2, they're going to have to take the points down 10. You got to take the field goal, cut it to a 1-possession game. So if you can get a stop on 3rd and 2, force them to kick a field goal, you got to feel like that's a win. You got to feel like you just won. Instead, Allen Ball, senseless, foolish penalty. Personal foul. There's a receiver not even blocking on the play. Plays over. He runs up and lays the wood to Justin Hunter for no reason. Inexplicable, inexcusable, can't happen. Gives them an automatic first down at the 1-yard line. Sean Green punches it in on the next play. So those are the type of plays that separates the 10-4 teams from the 4-10 teams. The 10-4 team doesn't do that. They don't give up an automatic first down. You got to earn that first down. You got to earn that touchdown. 4-10 team gives you a senseless personal foul penalty, puts the ball at the 1-yard line, next play, touchdown, and now it's a 16-13 game. That lead that you worked so hard to build now is only 3 points. That's what bad football teams do. It's 13-16. Jacksonville still up by 3. Penalty on John Cyprien on 4th and 2 sets up a 30-yard Nate Washington touchdown on busted coverage. It's 20-16. So again, another mistake by this Jacksonville Jaguars defense. This time, your rookie safety Jonathan Cyprien, penalty, a costly one on 4th and 2. Titans are going to have to punt the football. You give them a first down on 4th and 2. They cash in. And again, even if it's a long field goal attempt, you'll take your chances with the long attempt versus them getting a fresh set of downs and having a busted coverage a couple plays later, Nate Washington in the end zone, finger rolling it. They're up 20-16. Now, no, I'll save it for a little bit later. Ace Sanders and Deuces must have been wild on this play. Deuces must have been wild. You pulled out Ace. He couldn't win. Deuces were wild. Deuces trumped that Ace. Ace Sanders, bad decision. It's 3rd and 5. At this juncture of the game, at this point, you just need to move the sticks. Ace Sanders looking to hit the home run. I don't need a home run here, buddy. Just need a double. I just need an RBI single. I'll take a single. Hey, just don't strike out here. He decides he wants to go outside of a blocker. There's plenty of room for Ace Sanders to get up the field and get the first down, pick up 6 yards on 3rd and 5. Instead, he decides to want to go outside of his blocker, unnecessarily, again, looking for the home run. If he gets outside of that block, maybe he scores a touchdown. But that's not what you need right now. You just need a fresh set of downs. And if he goes up the field, where that blocker is, he'll get the first down. Instead, he decides to take a backward step to go around. He gets stopped. Now it's 4th and 1. Bad decision by Ace Sanders. And I'm pretty sure when they watch the film, they'll tell him, hey, man, I need the first down. I need you to go for it, put your head down, pick up the first down, move the sticks, give us an opportunity to get this football into the end zone. Instead, it's 4th and 1. Jags go for it. And this is where I have to stop. I was going to talk about it earlier, and then I said I was going to push it back to later. Here's where we need to talk about it. It's 4th and 1 from the Jags, from the Titans' 20-yard line. If you do not have that point after try blocked, if that PAT earlier in the game isn't blocked, it's 17-20 right now. Guess what you're doing on 4th and 1 from the Titans' 20? Guess what you're doing? You're kicking a field goal to tie this game up at 20. The difference in this game, you winning, you losing, you having a chance to tie it up and potentially win this game in regulation or overtime, one little play. One little minute detail that you forgot, that you omitted right before the half. Blocking on the extra point. You allowed it to get blocked. You lose that point. All of a sudden, you're down 4 instead of 3. Now you can't kick a field goal from the 20-yard line to tie this game up. You got to go for it on 4th and 1. Titans know what you're going to do. You're going to turn around, hand it off to MJD. You try it. They stuff it. You don't pick it up. That's a tough pill to swallow if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. So, huge play in the game. That blocked extra point loomed large at a point in the game where you could have tied it with a field goal. Instead, you had to go for it because you were down by 4 because of that missed extra point. So, Titans stuff you. They get the football back. Chris Johnson with a tough run to pick up a huge first down on 3rd down. Gets hit, absorbs the contact, spins off of it, puts his head down, and he may have or may not have gotten a favorable spot. That's debatable. But if you're Gus Bradley, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot challenge in that situation. 95% of the time when you challenge a spot on the field, you're going to lose. You have to see irrefutable evidence, meaning there has to be, without any shadow of a doubt, that we made a mistaken error in spotting this football. On that particular play, there was not one definitive angle that you could look at and say, hey, they misspotted this ball. We've got to move this thing back a half a yard, and that would prove to be the difference. You didn't see that. You cannot challenge because of the juncture of the game. You're in a position now where all of your timeouts are precious. And I always say this about timeouts in the second half. They're precious jewels. You have to take care of them. You have to treat them like they're your last. Every single timeout needs to be treated as if it's your last. And so, to use a challenge in a situation like that where the clock is stopped because they're measuring and you've got everything you need to get the football back, even if they pick up this first down, you've got all the timeouts. You got 2 and a 2-minute warning. That's plenty to get you this football back with about 1:50 left in this game if you get a stop, which you ultimately did. By you using that challenge and losing, you lost the timeout, left you with 1. They ran the football 3 times. Okay? They ran it. You used your last timeout. They ran it again. It went down to the 2-minute warning. They ran it again. And you should have been able to stop it right before the 2-minute warning. And then, if you didn't challenge, they would have ran it again. You would have stopped them. Then the 2-minute warning would have stopped the clock, and you would have got the football back with about $1.50 left. Plenty of time to do what it is you needed to do to try to win this football game. Instead, you wasted it on that challenge, which is a bad move on your part. And again, first-year head coach, he'll learn. This was a learning tool. That's what I said. There are no meaningless games in the National Football League. He learned something here. If he didn't know before, he knows now. You cannot challenge that at that time and waste a precious time out. And so, by you wasting that time out, the Titans get to run another play after the 2-minute warning without you being able to stop the clock. They get to punt the football with about $1.15 left on the clock. You get it back with about 110, 105 remaining, and which is still plenty of time, but again, with no timeouts and Chad Henne at quarterback, I don't like my chances. I don't like my chances at all. And so, a couple plays later, on that possession, bad throw by Henne into traffic. Again, wide open Marcedes Lewis. You put some more air on that football, maybe it gets in there, but he underthrows it. And look, I don't want to take anything away from George Wilson. What a spectacular one-hand grab, okay? He went up with one hand, and I thought he was just going to deflect it. He snags it out of the air, picks it off, game, set, match. Everybody drive home safely. Great career, Brad Meester, but it's over as the Tennessee Titans stroll into Jacksonville and redeem themselves from that earlier loss to these Jaguars, 20-16, get the win, go to 6-9 on the season, do the Titans. Jags fall to 4-11. Tough loss for the Jags at home, but you made too many mistakes in this football game to win, including that huge one that probably decided this game, that blocked extra point right before the half. So Titans get it done on the road. Huge win for them. Again, no meaningless games. I don't know if he's going to be back. If I had to put money on it, I'd say no, he's not going to be back. But big win for the Titans and their head coach. And so I don't know. I don't know if Mike Munchak is back at the end of the season. I can't say. But I'll tell you what, he barely made it back last year after another losing campaign where they'll probably end up 6-10, 7-9 at best. Don't see him coming back. And so, but his first win in the division, at least he got one under his belt this year. And that's pathetic. In a division where there's a 4-11 Jaguars team, a 2-12 Texans team, and now 2-13, for you to not have a divisional win under your belt speaks volumes to the struggles of this Tennessee Titans team this season. They finally get one now with their first win in the division against Jacksonville, 20-16. Titans go to 6-9. Jags drop to 4-11 on the season. And again, great career for center Brad Meester on his way out of Jacksonville. He's got one game left in his career as a Jacksonville Jaguar. So that's going to do it for me here in the L.A.B room. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the L.A.B room. I've got plenty more games to break down in the wacky week that was week number 16 in the National Football League.